Welcome to the VO School podcast, dedicated to the art, craft, and business of voiceover. Each week builds upon the last to give you a comprehensive understanding of a career in VO. My name's Jamie Muffett. I'm a full-time voice talent and audio engineer, and I'll be joined by some of the industry's top professionals on both sides of the microphone to drill down and dig up the truth. Hello, episode 3. I'd like to thank everyone that's listened to the first 2 episodes. This week, we have got 2 gents who know their onions. But before we get to them, I'd like to do a little bit of housekeeping, as I usually do. I've been told that it is important to receive reviews and ratings on the various podcast platforms. So, if you have a couple of minutes and you like the podcast, please review and rate them on iTunes, Stitcher, all those kind of places, because that will help get the word out and that will ensure that we continue making these episodes. On social media, you can connect with us. We have a Twitter account, VO School Pro. Search that and you'll see a picture of my friend Jamie behind a microphone, another Jamie. And I set up a Facebook group as well. Search VO School Podcast on Facebook and I think you'll find it. It's also linked directly on our SoundCloud page. So it's soundcloud.com/VO School, and all the links are on the right-hand side for all our social media. So you can click through from there. That's quite a good central hub for you to find everything. So this week's episode is, I want to say it's slightly different to not only episodes in this series, but other VO-centric podcast episodes. And the reason I say that is because it's not especially encouraging. It's a real straight-talking episode, this one, and I really wanted to make it early on because there are a lot of pitfalls and potential banana skins when you start out in this industry, and it's only getting worse based on the fact that there are a lot of predators out there looking to exploit new entrants. And it's something I see every day. It's something that is very prevalent. So while it may not be super encouraging and enthusiastic and positive and bubbly, it's an important message. So if you get through this episode and still are super pumped to be part of the industry, and good on you, because that's quite a good acid test of your mettle there. With that said, I think we'll take a short break and I will give you the intros, and then we'll go straight into the interview and you can listen for yourself. Okay. I'll speak to you at the end.
Style. Power.
You're watching the home of the NFL.
The all-new iPhone.
Reserve your Disney World season pass now.
Through all the runny noses, 3 a.m. coughs.
An all-new American Crime Story, tonight on FX.
Hi, it's J. Michael Collins, and these are just a few examples of the first-class demos my team and I are producing. If you'd like to have something similar, visit jmcvoiceover.com and click on the Demo Production tab to find out more.
Born in the Netherlands, Paul Strikwerda began producing and presenting youth programs for Dutch public radio and television at age 17. This was the start of a 25-year media career that took him to the BBC and Radio Netherlands International. After moving to the US, he began recording voiceovers with a distinctly European sound. His weekly blog has close to 39,000 subscribers and is considered to be one of the most influential in the voiceover industry. With over 25 years of industry experience, internationally recognized voiceover expert Erik Sheppard is the owner and head voice agent of Voice Talent Productions, a premier talent agency representing an elite roster of union and non-union voice talent from around the globe. From his first voiceover gig at age 17, he's worked in the industry as a talent and a coach, and now oversees an agency booking thousands of high-profile projects a year. He's also a founding member and president of the VO Agent Alliance, an organization fighting for fairness and ethics in the voiceover industry. His career, classes, appearances, and related projects have been profiled on the Learning Channel and countless industry blogs, podcasts, publications, social media outlets, and his YouTube channel, The Outspoken. Here's our interview with Paul Strikwerda and Erik Sheppard. We have Paul Strikwerda. Did I say that right, Paul?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
I've been used to different pronunciations, but you're getting very close.
Okay, good. And Erik Sheppard. Erik Sheppard is a voice agent, and Paul is a talent. And they are known as two of the most straight-talking public figures in this industry, so I'm really thrilled they're both on the same episode, so we're going to have some fireworks, hopefully. This episode is all about how to avoid being exploited as a new entrant into this industry, and I want to dive into the different ways talent are exploited and how you can avoid that. So, in a very broad sense, let's kick off by discussing the different ways talent are exploited. So, who wants to take a stab at that to start off with?
Well, often I think they start off being exploited. They're brought into the industry by coaches. Coaches, if they don't have a steady stream of starry-eyed newbies coming in, they're out of business. Right. So there's a lot of effort online and advertising to tell people, hey, you've got a great voice and anybody can do it and make money from the comfort of your own home. So really, before they've even began or even done their first audition, they're being exploited.
Yeah, that is a major problem. Paul?
Absolutely. So, yes, it's not only that, it's also the demo mills. And I think it's also the online casting sites, because they say, oh my goodness, there's a whole new group of naive people who all think that they can make it big, and it is so easy to get started. All you need is a microphone, free recording software, and a credit card. So they make it very easy to get your start. They will take your money. They don't care whether you have experience, whether you have talent, as long as you can pay. That is your way to get into the business.
It's easy to be self-delusional. You spend a few bucks and you get some of this cool-looking gear. And then, like Paul says, you sign up with a pay-to-play. And so now you've got a website and you've got a studio. And I'm doing air quotes like you could see me.
Yeah, I can imagine it. Yeah.
And then it's just easy to tell yourself, well, I'm a professional voiceover talent. When you started 2 days ago and you know nothing about the business. And unfortunately, the reality sinks in pretty quickly.
So who are their target? Who are their prey exactly? Are these people who are, I suppose it runs the gamut really, but people who are passionate about voiceover, or people who are just wanting this as a second income, or, I suppose anyone is a potential prey for these types?
Well, this is a dream job, Again, work from home, work in your pajamas. It's just talking, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the promises of millions of dollars. So, really anybody is a target. Anyone who's, ever heard, oh, you've got a nice voice, or people that have been on the radio once or twice, or, folks just looking for a little extra income, or they don't like their job, or they want to get into something else, or they always have the acting bug, or what, I could go on for an hour.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a large pool of folks that are interested in this because they all stay in business, and there's more of these coaches. And again, not to be down on all coaches. If you've already drank the Kool-Aid, if you're already a professional talent, you need coaching at some point. And there's plenty of coaches out there that are great folks and that I'm friends with and that are kind of integral to a professional actor's life. What we're talking about here is that, these folks that are again pulling people in, almost grabbing people off the street and promising them stardom when they know for dang sure that it's not going to happen, that's not true. They know it because most of them are failed voiceover talent, and so now they're doing some sort of coaching thing on the side with whoever. So it's just fake. It's false.
I get a lot of questions from people who are already talking for a living, like teachers who are kind of burned out. Ministers, I've had a few ministers ask about, well, this parish of mine is closing its doors, and people say, I have this wonderful voice, so I could make money. Even therapists, it's really amazing, and I feel so sorry for those people because, one of the pitfalls is that they underestimate what it takes to become a full-time, for-profit voiceover. Yeah. And I think we are in part to blame because a true professional makes what we do sound easy, spontaneous, and seamless. I think the best actors, whether they're in front of a camera or a microphone, distinguish themselves by their ability to fool everybody into thinking that they're not acting.
Yeah,
so as soon as somebody says, oh, well, this is so unnatural, inauthentic, and insincere, the magic is gone, the spell is broken. So if you're able to sound like yourself, you make it sound so easy, and that's the biggest trick. People say, oh, because it sounds easy, it must be easy.
Yeah.
It's true. We're so amazingly good that it just seems like anyone could do.
Well, it's not just us as voice actors, because look at photographers too. Everybody's got a phone in their camera and thinks they can become a professional photographer selling stock footage, right? All these websites where you can just upload your picture and everybody's a photographer. And that's the same with voiceover. Just because you own a camera doesn't mean that you are now a professional photographer.
I suppose that delusion has always existed, and in some ways that's a fuel to get you through the self-doubt and the criticism and the rejection at the start of the career. The difference is these days is that's the delusion is being stoked. And that's the difference in 2017, that there is a plethora of people promising quick riches. And I wonder if we can explore some of the things to look out for, some of the red flags,
I think the biggest red flag is if you're going to sign up, and this is a fairly common business model, where you sign up and you get coaching for, a couple weeks or something, or a few months, or X amount of classes, and then you leave with your demo.
Right.
So now you have your demo and you're ready to shop it, and you're ready to go out there, and they give you a little coupon for 10% off a website or whatever, and tell you to sign up with a pay-to-play, and, you have your calling card now. Anybody that's taken a handful of classes is not ready to make a demo. And anybody that's making that demo for them knows that it's not a shoppable demo.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's amazing, they're a natural, and out of nowhere they're able to make something that's great and shoppable. But, there's how many millions of demos being made every day. And again, if you've just taken a couple classes and they're saying, and at the end you leave with a demo, that's a massive red flag.
Right. And anything that says quick and easy and has dollar signs in it, right? These three elements in the slogan, major red flag.
Yeah.
Or there's a few, there was one that was so egregious years ago, would just talk about the millions and millions of dollars that they've personally made. And you should sign up for their coaching stuff for $199 or whatever. How many, if you've made this many millions of dollars, you're going to be on the beach. You're not going to be coaching newbies and desperately, and speaking, and the copy is, well, I'm paraphrasing. I mean, this was a little bit back, but it says something along the lines of, there are just waves of money coming in. You need to stand at the shore with a bucket.
Oh, dear. Wow.
Which is, that's evocative, but it's nauseating.
It is.
Look at the copy. Again, if it's this, we promise you the world type of copy, and they're marketing towards newbies, then that's most probably going to be a problem. If it's, and do your research. You're not just going to sign up with whoever, but if you're doing your research and you know who the pros go to, again, people that have been in this business for decades are still going to a Maurice Tobias thing, or they're working with Nancy Wilson, or whatever. People, reputable coaches that are established. They don't have any websites promising the moon and the stars for people that are coming in off the street. So with just a little bit of research, it's fairly easy to kind of figure out who's for real and who isn't.
Just ask their rates. That helps too. I would say if you can do like 5 training sessions and you leave with a demo and it's under $1,000, come on.
Yeah.
And the problem is people seem to be so impressionable. They want to believe that they can do this. People who prey on you can almost feel and touch and taste your desperation because they've seen all those shows on TV, like The Voice, where people become an overnight success. And they say, okay, somebody can do that. I can do that. And it doesn't have to cost anything. And let's be honest, technology has made it a lot easier to get your start. You don't have to spend a fortune to build an entire recording studio anymore.
Yeah.
You can do business with the entire world just from the comfort of your closet.
Yeah.
So it's easier now to enter this business than at any time in the history.
The difference is obviously that with the ease comes the competition. Because it's so easy, everyone is joining. So the hard thing then becomes differentiating yourself and rising above the crowd. Where do you go to find out where you will fit in this industry?
Well, it's an age-old question, know thyself. And I think it's very hard for us to know ourselves really and find out what's marketable if you don't know what the market wants and what is already being offered on that market. So I think it's nearly impossible if it's just you or a couple of friends and family members just cheering you on because you have a wonderful voice to find out what your specialty is. I had a hard time, and I'm from Europe. I came to the United States at the end of 1999, and I did not know what made me special. I didn't think I was special. I wasn't brought up to think that I was special. The people said to me, you know what? You have this just weird, silly British accent. You really should take an accent reduction training so you can sound more American. And other people say, no, you should do that because
familiar.
the way you sound, nobody else sounds like. But I didn't know because I'd been listening to myself for all my life. But ultimately, the way I sound became my specialty, my niche. So I advertise myself now as somebody with sort of a European accent, something that's not totally posh British and something that's not very American. And I didn't know that. Hadn't people pointed that out to me and said, you don't sound like anybody else that we have on our roster. We could sell you as a neutral English or European English talent. And they told me, and that's the first time it dawned upon me, hey, yes, that is my niche. That is what makes me special.
And what was the time frame for that? How long did that take you to figure that out?
Oh, it took me a number of years. I didn't even know where to start my research, and even nowadays with the internet, you type in a keyword and who knows where it will lead. I didn't know whom I could trust, basically. And there's a lot of people in this industry who will tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And some people just, because they don't have the capacity to think in critical ways or just refuse to believe that, make it very hard for themselves. I think these days as well, it's a matter of willful ignorance.
Well, playing devil's advocate here, if that is such a difficult thing to find out on your own, is that why joining some of these online marketplaces, is that why they're so popular? Because you can actually enter the market with not a lot to lose, really, and you can chart what you book, where your niches are. It's not great for established talent because it obviously affects the rates for the more established talent and destabilizes the whole industry. But is it then understandable why new entrants would go that route?
Well, look, the pay-to-play model is a huge problem for the industry in general. But this is not going to be of a concern to somebody who's just coming in. Yeah. The problem is their choices or their options are limited. They're not going to get an agent right away. That most of them don't know how to cold call or contact potential clients. Or as Paul says, they don't even know who the hell they are. They don't even know what they're offering. They don't know, marketing and branding, and they don't even know how to use their damn microphone, for God's sakes.
Right.
So, you don't even need a mic to sign up for one of these sites, and you get that day an audition. You could be a mute, and if you have $300 or whatever it is, you're getting auditions emailed to you, and that's pretty dang exciting, I would imagine, for someone who's, right off the boat. So, again, what are their other options? Their other options are to do the dang work. Yeah. But that's not real. Everybody wants to do it quick. Like Paul said, everybody wants to be on a reality show, and they're instantly famous. So when it's a little difficult to get an audition, And again, you could just pay some money and then all of a sudden they show up and, wow, this is like $1,000. I'm going to read for that along with however many, millions of other starry-eyed hopefuls.
Yeah.
And then sadly, which I think a lot of them don't realize, very, very sadly, there's some pros on these sites as well. And their thinking is, well, I'm really good. I've been doing this for a while, and I don't care about the damage it's doing to the industry. I'm basically going to kind of poach the jobs from here because I know what I'm doing. So you're not just competing against, other newbies when you're on these sites. There's the occasional pro that's sadly still there. And these people are going to trounce you because they know what they're doing. They know how to read copy. They're actors. So again, that's another reason. And there's people that aren't going to listen to us. And good, if you think you're different, and that's what most people do. I think this is what keeps it going. They say, well, I'm different. I'm smarter. I'm more unique. I have a great voice. I sound just like X, Y, or Z, and they're making millions. Go for it, but brace yourself.
I was on one of the well-known social media sites recently, and there was a comment by an established voiceover professional based in LA. I won't mention his name, but he was talking about how in the past, and maybe you can answer this, Erik, agents would take a more nurturing, cultivating kind of a role for actors. They may not be the finished article when they come to them, but they will help them to learn this industry. Are those days completely over?
That depends on the agent. I try to be there for all of my talent. It's probably daily. I'm answering questions for talent or giving them some sort of pointers. But then again, I'm friends with a lot of my talent. So, it's different. There's other agencies and they have, 5,000 talent. Obviously, they're not going to be able to do a hands-on thing with everybody because there's just not enough time, in the day. But you're certainly, if you're lucky enough to get an agent that's a reputable agent, they're going to really help you, to point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But again, it's this catch-22 thing. No agent, no reputable agent is going to take you unless you're an earner. This is a business. I love the craft, but I got to make $1.01 if I'm going to invest my time and money into bringing you on. I got to know that I'm going to get some sort of ROI. So you have to be established before you get the agent, and you can't get the big jobs to establish yourself without the agent. Right. And again, that's why people go, I'll just pay a few bucks and sign up for a pay-to-play or whatever. It's difficult. That's the point. I mean, that's the whole point of what we're saying here is that it's freaking difficult and it takes forever.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't think it's an agent's job to be your coach or to manage your career. There are other people for that. The agent is a funnel, and sometimes it could be your advocate as well. The agent is, okay, here's the client. The client has this type of job, and the agent will give the client 4, 5, 6 names of all people who can handle that. I mean, that's more the model that I encountered when I first came to the United States.
Yeah.
Nowadays, some of the agents that I work with, they do cattle calls too. That they get a script and they send it to maybe 100 people that are all on their roster. So it probably differs per agent as well. But I don't think it's the job of an agent to handle somebody's career and coach people.
Well, that's why there's managers.
Exactly.
Right.
And now managers are giving them a lot of auditions as well. The line between management and agent is kind of blurred now. And then there's folks that specialize kind of in like your branding as well. And so they're kind of in part of a management role, and they'll even contact agents sometimes to let us know about new folks they're working with. And there's quite a few folks out there, but most of them are, on the up and up. There's going to be a bad egg everywhere. But again, if your agent is reputable or your manager is reputable, they're going to help you out.
Yeah.
But how do you get them?
Right.
When you're first starting out. Again, this is, people are on this journey. I could tell you for damn sure there's folks that have been doing this as long as I've been alive, and we've said no to them. We say no to people, hundreds of times a week, people looking for representation. So, there is really a lot of kind of hubris in saying, I'm just going to show up and, take the world by storm.
I mean, in some ways, everything that we're talking about here may seem depressing for someone who has these starry-eyed ambitions. But this is the reality at the end of the day. If you're starting today and you're an American voice in the American market, you have got a huge amount of competition, and you've got so many different areas that you have to learn, like you touched on there, Erik. The marketing side, even the studio recording side, if you're recording at home, which pretty much everyone does. The overarching theme here is that the people who will succeed will just be aware of that and will fight through all those hurdles to get where they need to get. So it's almost Darwinian in a way that the people that will become successful are the people that will be prepared to wade through all that.
Well, it's acting. I mean, it's the same as anything else, And a lot of voiceover actors get really bent out of shape, and they get really kind of offended when people, make a difference between voiceover acting and, Hollywood movie acting.
Yeah.
But, everybody knows how unbelievably difficult it is to become the next, huge Hollywood star. But, the buses are still unloading every day in L.A. So there's always people that are going to, chase the dream. And I don't think any of the three of us are telling, everybody out there, hey, don't do it. Let's not have another brand new voiceover talent ever.
Yeah.
But like you say, it's depressing. I'd rather people be depressed because they know the truth, and then they'll get over it and look for something else than be broke because they've been giving, all their money to people that aren't putting them on the right path. That's better.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, I think that's another thing people just underestimate when they're saying, oh, okay, I'm going to be a voice actor, a voice talent, and all I do all day long is read scripts and make money. And they forget that the moment you hang up your shingle and say, I'm a professional voice actor, you are the CEO, you are the CFO, the head of marketing, advertising, sales. You run the bloody bookkeeping department. You're your own audio engineer and the featured talent. And on top of that, you're running a global business.
Yeah.
So I sometimes think that you might have the most wonderful voice in the world, but if you don't know how to become a pro, how to run a freelance business like a business, you don't really stand a chance. And the person that maybe has not such glorious pipes, but knows how to run their business like a freelance business will stand a greater chance.
Absolutely.
What about the people, though, that aren't looking to enter this industry as a business person? They're not looking at it as a business prospect per se. They're looking at it from a creative standpoint. They want to be an actor, and voice acting is their passion. Do all these things still apply, even if they're not looking specifically from a financial perspective?
No, you got to know how to sell yourself, because you can have all the training, you can go to the Royal Shakespeare Company or wherever, and if you don't know how to sell yourself, if people don't know about you, then you do not exist.
Yeah.
And even that route, I encourage people to look at it as acting. But the trouble is we live in an impatient world, and very, very few people experience overnight success. And you cannot buy your way into a voiceover career. It needs to be earned, and slowly. Even the people who are at the top of their game are not the people who just started out. Most of them have been at it for years. So that's, you have to go through all these misconceptions. And even if you're the best actor of the world, you are competing, like Erik just said, with regular actors, with A-list actors who do this for a living. And it takes time. It takes time to build this whole network of contacts. And most people don't have enough money in the bank to stick with it for 3 years and then finally reap the rewards. Because in general, that's what they say. If you start your own freelance business, it takes about 3 years before things start taking off. A little bit less, a little bit more, depending on where you come from. But 3 years is an average. And most people, the bank doesn't care. They want you to pay your mortgage every month. And they say, oh, well, I want to do this voiceover thing, so I don't have money for the mortgage. No, you got to cover all your bills and then some.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line, as I've said before, and I've said for years and years, voiceover is a terrible, terrible get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yes.
And anyone that's trying to tell you differently is lying. They're lying. And they know that they're lying, but they're lying, and they're, you're giving them a check.
You can get poor quickly doing voiceovers. Just go on eBay and see how many frustrated voice actors are selling their equipment. at a great loss.
There's a lot of used snowballs for sale. The spit is free.
Yeah, you have a snowball's chance in hell of making it. Anyway, so I sometimes feel that there are the two tiers of this industry are getting further apart in some respects. The upper tier, the union talent doing all the high-profile gigs, and the entry level or people that stay at that level of working in the pay-to-plays and, marketing locally and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with being in either of those different tiers, but in some respects, I feel like they're getting further apart. Breaking from the entry level to the upper tier is getting harder and harder, I feel. How do you foresee the future happening in terms of talent who may make a part-time income doing this thing, but to transition that into a full-time career and then take the next step? Do you think that's harder these days?
I think it is more difficult. You mentioned the being a big union talent. And those lines are blurred. It used to be years ago, you did your time and you were in the trenches, and then you got your card, and, that was it. You made it. And now you had, the best opportunities, and you were paid fairly, and you had health insurance, et cetera. But nowadays, some of the best talent in the world are non-union or FICOR for a myriad of reasons. Yeah. And every dang union talent in the world is doing non-union work. And unfortunately, so many, and this is an occurrence daily, clients are going non-union because they're taking advantage of these cutthroat voiceover rates, because there's so many people in here. Like you said, some folks, they don't want to be professional, or, they're hobbyists. So they're playing in our playground, and they're mucking stuff up. So you've got these, super low rates for, almost every project. The rates are going down and down and down. Scale doesn't change. So now the clients are moving away from the union. So it's more difficult really for anybody, because even if you're at that lower level, like you said, the rates that are out there now are getting lower and lower by the month, it seems. And even if you said, well, I'm immune to that because I've got my SAG card, well, now all the producers are going non-union to take advantage of those rates. So really, wherever you fall in that, the echelon or whatever rung of the ladder you're on, things are getting tougher all over.
I mean, are the Coca-Colas of this world, are they worried about the amount of money they're paying to talent?
Oh, my God. The Disneys and the Googles of the world are putting out, full buys for less than a tenth of what it would have been union, and they've got more money than God.
Yeah, I mean, they're laughing all the way to the bank, because for them, for the clients, I don't hear them complaining because you get more for less. Yeah. But somebody wanted to know, how do I become really a top-notch, very well-known voice actor? And I think the way to approach that is to not become a voice actor, but become a very famous on-camera actor, because that's how we get to know them. And that's how these people get all these nice jobs on the side as voice actors. That's
the shortcut to make it in voiceover. Just be a Hollywood star. Right. And then you can get into voiceover pretty quickly.
It's as easy as that, yeah.
Yep.
That's the takeaway.
That's how you do an end run around the system.
Right, and these people just go to the studio. It's the ideal life. You don't have to market yourself because you already have somebody doing that for you. You have an agent, so that agent is taking care of all the negotiations. You just cash in on your celebrity status.
Well, there was that famous video of the movie announcers in the stretch limo. That career sounds pretty good. I can see why people want to join it.
Yes, that's the famous Don LaFontaine video, right?
Yeah, love that. I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Those days are over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was over even by the end of Don's life. He was working from home, but he had for years, he was in his limo going from gig to gig. And that's not bad, man. But people aren't really doing that anymore.
Right. So to finish up, I'd like to go slightly off topic here, because actually, I didn't even realize this until we were emailing before the session here. Erik is Paul's agent. So let's talk about that dynamic a little bit real quick while we have you here. How did you first get to know each other?
I have no idea. I'm assuming it was something like, I need a Dutch guy.
Right.
And then everybody in the universe said, you don't know Paul, but I've known him for so many years. I don't remember where we we first started talking.
Maybe it was at Uncle Roy Oakelson's annual voiceover barbecue event. At least, and I remember that's where we saw one another in the flesh for the very first time.
Yeah, but I think we worked together before that, because then you used to come to the mixers too, and we knew each other. And
yes.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, because there are not too many native Dutch speakers in North America. So if people ever want a Dutch native speaker in this area, then yes, my name tends to come up a lot.
This talent are very, which is one of the most wonderful things about this business. Talent are very supportive of each other, and they're supportive of their friends. And so my agency keeps a smaller roster. We're not interested in repping 1 million people. But so every once in a while, we need something, wacky. One of our clients asks us for Swahili or something, and we're like, well, we don't have like 4 on hand. Yeah. So we'll go out to the socials, say, hey, listen, anybody have a blah, 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 or have a friend that does this or that, or and that's what Paul was talking about before. If somebody says, hey, I need a kind of a Euro thing, or especially they say, oh, I need like a Dutch kind of thing or whatever. There's 1,000 talent out there that are going to say Paul. Yeah. And they're going to tell any casting person or agent or anybody, this is your guy. Get in touch with them. So,
which I absolutely love. It's ideal because, most of the time I don't really have to audition for a lot of jobs. And I think at least at this point, 50 to 60% of my jobs I get through referrals. And I refer lots of other people too, because they know, okay, this Paul is from Europe. So if I need a French voice, he'll tell me who I can hire, or German or whatever. So it works both ways. I recommend people recommend me. British, yes. Do you know anyone?
I don't know, no.
Yeah, nobody sounds like you, man. Back when I started as an actor many zillions of years ago, it was me and quite a lot of others, because this wasn't a thing back in the day. Nobody knew what the hell voiceover was. And I wanted to be Don. I wanted to be Don LaFontaine. I was practicing my inner world and trying to get as close to that sound as possible, until finally I had spoken to somebody and they said, well, they could just hire Don.
Yeah, that's true.
There's already a person that does that. Why would you want to do that? And it was like a real, eye-opener. Like, yeah, wow. That's obviously, there is somebody that already specializes in that. And so now, well, with the exception of Paul, who's insanely unique, and there's certainly, some other folks out there that are very unique as well. But there's thousands of people that specialize in nearly every type of delivery and every type of sound and age range. And, we're full up. So to kind of steer it back, to the original topic, you're not going to open up a burger stand right next to another burger stand, it's going to be tough. So,
right. You got to have something that really distinguishes you. And this cartoon, I'll never forget it. It's about 2 kids who sell lemonade. And there was one boy, he says, okay, lemonade, 50 cents per glass. And right next to him is another lemonade stand. And it's his sister, says, lemonade, $1 per glass. Clean water, it says in the sign next to it. So you need to sell that lemonade that uses clean water.
That's great.
I like that.
I love it. So that comes down to your marketing. You're a marketing guy, so you're very good with your marketing.
Yeah. I mean, and I have this blog that I write every week, and Erik has his wonderful vlog that he puts out almost every week, the Outspoken. Please subscribe to it, because it's crazy, outrageous, and so much fun to watch Erik go off on a rant. It's and everything he says is true, by the way. So I enjoy that tremendously. But that helps. You gotta. It's our job as voiceovers to be outspoken. You need to be heard, and if people don't listen, then you got to make yourself heard. Otherwise, you'll make as much noise as the sound of one hand clapping.
That's true. And the specialism thing is absolutely the case in my experience as well, because when I first came to America, I had so many people say, oh, you should try and put on an American accent. And I stuck to my guns, and I was like, well, I'm in a country of 200 million people who can do that accent better than I can. What's the point in me doing that? So I've stuck to it, and it's paid off in the long run. So the final question I have, just because we have both of you on this episode, is what is the secret to maintaining a good agent-talent relationship?
Don't be a pain in the ass.
Great answer. You going to elaborate on that or just?
Yeah, well, often talent start that way, before they want to get repped. And so then they send us an email, and then there's like 17 follow-up emails. Did you get this? Did you get that? It takes forever to, we take on less than 1%, way less than 1% of the folks that, submit to us, solicited or unsolicited. We just picked up somebody actually the other day, which is rare, and her email was like from a year ago. Right. But we just got around to listening to it for like the 80th time, and we like her and whatever. But if you've got an agent now, be cool. Be sure that you're around enough so that you're somewhat top of mind. If you haven't been auditioning for a while, kind of pop in, maybe let them know about another project you've done. Certainly let them know if you're booking out or, you have a new demo. These are things that you want to be telling your agents anyway. But don't be one of those super high maintenance phone calls every day kind of thing.
Right.
The thinking is they want to remind their agent they're still alive. Which is good, but basically they're just reminding their agent what a friggin' pain they are.
Paul's still there, just in case.
Yes, I'm still here. Yes, still am. Yeah. I totally agree with Erik just said. You have to make, and this is the same with agents and clients as well. You have to make it really easy to work with you. You got to be dependable. So if the request comes, the answer is going to be yes. Can you do this in an hour? Yes. Do you have ISDN? Yes. How can I pay you easily? Well, the more yeses people hear, the more they like to work with you. And that's the trouble with people who try to do this on the side. They can't say yes. They're not dependable. Right. And it's like on camera work, they say you have to look like your headshot. So you got to sound like what your agent is selling. So you got to be able to deliver what your demo demonstrates. And that's one of the things when I sometimes hear those completely overproduced demos that people have spent a lot of money on, and they sound phenomenal. All the bells and whistles a studio has to offer, they're thrown at it, and they sound incredible. And then you hire them, and they're not able to reproduce that because they're not in $1 million studio. They're in their own home studio. And one of the main reasons I think most auditions are rejected is not because they didn't like the voice, but because the audio quality was just appalling. So you got to be consistent. Right. You got to be able to deliver the goods, make yourself available, make it easy and fun to work with you.
Right.
We get a lot of folks, even, coaches will contact us. Hey, we're working with this person and you got to listen to this. I mean, they're amazing. You want to get in on the ground floor kind of thing. And our thinking is, no, man, I don't care if this is the most amazing voiceover talent I've ever heard. I've never heard a voice like this. I've never heard a delivery like this. When they get in the booth for the first time and they get some direction that's perhaps a little out of their wheelhouse, right. It's terrifying. I mean, Paul, you remember, Jamie, you remember those first times when you're working with a real director or a real hard director, and you don't know what you're doing. It's not your fault. You're just green. You haven't gone through it. Yeah. You're in trouble, man. And you're going to be doubly in trouble if they say, oh, we want you to sound like, the third spot on your demo. And like Paul says, man, they lowered that and added compression and whatever. And, I couldn't do that again in a million years. Wow, man. It's going to be awkward.
Yes. And also, I'm thinking of other colleagues too, because some people have like a huge ego. And it's completely made up and it's hot air and it's unjustified because they cannot deliver, but they find it so hard because every time that they get instructions, they think they're being critiqued and somebody doesn't like it and, oh dear, they're so super sensitive. You need to be so flexible and need to go wherever the director wants you to go and just have fun with it. That's the trouble of just getting started. You don't know what people are going to throw at you. You haven't experienced that situation. At some point in your career, you'll reach that phase where you say, you know what? Whatever they throw at me, I can handle it. It's going to be fine and it's going to be fun.
Yep. Yeah. You do get those talent. Nowadays, they're like, oh, these new producers and they're a young kid and I've done a million jobs like this and they don't know and I know. And you don't know squat, man. Their name is at the top of the check. So however they want you to talk, that's the right way to do it. You don't know the right way. The right way is for you to do what they want you to do. You're basically a tool in their arsenal. Of course, put your own spin on it if you want to try another take or, maybe suggest one or two things. But otherwise, dance, monkey. You got to do.
Yeah.
They're paying you to do what they want you to do. It's their creative vision, not yours.
Well, that's perfect way to end it, I think, because that's very true. So thank you both of you for coming on. Really wonderful chat. Let me remind everyone that, Erik, you have this fantastic YouTube series called The Outspoken, where you talk to camera and just deliver truth after truth. How do people find you?
It's on YouTube, YouTube/The Outspoken. Otherwise, you could friend me on Facebook, and I'm always putting up links there, or find me through the Voiceover Agent Alliance, or find me just screaming on a street corner in LA.
All right, perfect. And Paul, you've got, would it be fair to say, the most popular blog on the internet for voiceover?
I don't know, because not everybody tells you how many subscribers they have, but I believe I have close to 39,000 subscribers, and that's
pretty good.
Unique. Yes, so if people want to find my blog, then they simply go to my website, which is nethervoice.com. Nether is in Netherlands, voice is in voice. Turn it into one word, nethervoice.com, click on blog, and every week they'll get a new treat.
Wonderful. Paul, Erik, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, there we are. A couple of guests who really tell it like it is, and I'm really thrilled that both of them could come on, Erik and Paul. They know what they're talking about, so I would really listen to them and take a lot out of their extensive experience. They've got 50 years of industry experience between them, so they know what they're talking about. And I know some of that was probably a bitter pill to swallow for a lot of people, but as Erik said, it's better to know the truth and be a bit depressed than be taken advantage of. So thank you for listening. That's episode 3 of this series. Next episode, we are going to talk technology. I am a bit of a geek when it comes to audio tech, so I'm looking forward to this episode coming up specifically. Don't forget to connect with Erik and Paul from this episode on their social media and their educational outlets. Paul has a blog on Nethervoice, and Erik has his The Outspoken video series, as they mentioned at the end of the interview there. They are wonderful resources for you to get the truth, albeit not overtly positive. Okay, and on that note, I'll say goodbye. I'll speak to you next time. Thanks. Please like, share, subscribe, and review the VO School podcast. Many thanks to this week's guests, Erik Sheppard and Paul Strikwerda. Thank you also to our sponsor, J. Michael Collins, and to Backstage Magazine. Join us next week for another class.